Oh, thank you. That's very thoughtful. This is my care, so it's, thank you. I have my, I bring my own. Huh? Yeah. It was like, yeah, when devotee gave me some real bell metal hand hammered cartels, so I have one pair here, one pair in Govardhan. Sometimes I forget to bring them, but. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parvrajikacharya Asatara Satashri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Shri Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shai Mukunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Jai Vrindavan Dhama Ki Jai Mathura Dhama Ki Jai Navadvip Mayapur Dhama Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dhama Ki Jai Gangamaya Jamuna Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai Samaveta Bhaktivinda Ki Jai Gaur Premananda All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane. Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paskatyade Shatarane Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Panchakalpa Chubhischa Kripasindhavya Bhacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevi Namo Namo. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. July 26, 2026, in New Goloka, Hillsborough, North Carolina. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 76, Text 4. Iti muda pratignyaya Devam pashu patim prabhum Aradhayam ashanripa Pamshumushtim sakridgrasan. Please chant. Devam pashu patim prabhum Aradhayam ashanipa Pashumushtim Sakrid Grashan. Iti muda pratignaya Devam Pashupatim Prabhum Aradayam Vashanirpa Pamshumushtim Sakrid Grasan. Iti mudha pratigaya Devam Pashupatim Prabhum Aradayam Ashanripa Pamshumustim Sakrid Grasam. Any ladies? Iti mudha pratignaya Devam Pashupatim Prabhum Aradayam Ashanripa Pamshumustim Sakrid Grasham. Iti, with these words, Muda, the fool, Pratignaya, having vowed, Devam, the Lord, Pashupatim, Shiva, the protector of animal-like men, Prabhum, his master, Aradhayam Asha, worshipped, Nripa, the king, Pamshu, of dust, Mushtim, a handful, Sakrid, once daily, Grasan, eating. So this is about Shalva wanting to destroy Krishna and the Yadus. BBT translation: having thus made this vow to kill Krishna and the Yadus, the foolish king proceeded to worship Lord Pashupati, Shiva, as his deity by eating a handful of dust every day and nothing more. So Prabhupada's translation of this in Krishna book is usually such foolish demons take shelter of a demigod like Lord Shiva to execute their ulterior plans. And so in order to get strength, Shalva took refuge at the lotus feet of Lord Shiva. he underwent a severe type of austerity during which he would eat no more than a handful of ashes daily. So we have no BBT commentary. Srila Sanatana Goswami's commentary is he then worshipped Shiva because Shiva was his family deity or deity of the demons, Devam, the protector of animals or people who were like animals, such as Shalva, indicating his very merciful nature, Lord Shiva's merciful nature, and who could quickly fulfill his desires, Prabhu. The king, Ripa, although qualified for enjoying happiness, ate dust. Srila Jiva Goswami's commentary, he made this promise because he was foolish, with no intelligence, since it was impossible to kill them. You have an impossible desire, then you're an idiot. He then worshipped Shiva because he was his family deity, the master of people who were like animals and could fulfill his desires. He could enjoy happiness as a king. His vow was quite suitable, eating dust. It was ridiculous. And the Sanskrit words that Srila Jiva Goswami used was iti upahasa. So hasa means to laugh. Upahasa, you're really laughing. You're like rolling on the floor laughing. You're cracking up. So iti upahasa, it was completely ridiculous. Right? If someone tells you, I'm going to kill Krishna and all his family by eating dust every day. So that's ridiculous. Iti mura pratignaya devam pashu patim prabhum aradhayam asharnipa pashu mustim sakrid grasan. Having thus made his vow, the foolish king proceeded to worship Lord Pashupati Shiva as his deity by eating a handful of dust every day and nothing more. So here we have this fool, this mudha, this idiot. He makes a promise, pratignaya, and then he works to be empowered to get blessings from Lord Shiva to achieve it. So we usually call material life fruitive work. You're doing some sort of work to get some sort of fruit. You want to get some kind of result. And everybody wants to know, what result should I aim for and what's the fastest, easiest way to get it, right? Isn't that all of our question? Yeah. What should I be looking for in life and what's the fastest, easiest way to get it? So what does Shalva get right here? He gets a couple things right. First of all, he knows that in material life, he's got to pay for something. That he can't just go and kill Krishna and his family. He's got to do something to earn it. So he gets that right. And he gets right that the price has got to be equal to the goal. So he wants something basically impossible, so he's doing something very extreme. And the other thing he gets right is knowing that he's not fully independent, that he needs some kind of grace or blessings from some superior being. So what does he get wrong is that his goal is ridiculous and his means are ridiculous. And so it results only in his humiliation and his destruction. So I want to look at three things. What should be our goals? What should be austerity? And how do we get blessings? What should we aspire for? How should we achieve it? And how do we get blessings? So what should we aspire for? Something that I always really like on two levels is when Vamandev goes to beg charity from Bali. And Bali Maharaj says to him, you should ask me for something so great that you'll never have to ask anybody else for anything else ever. And I like this statement because it's a good explanation of what kind of goal we should aspire for, and also a good indication of how arrogant Bali had become. That he thought he could give such a thing. Right? I mean, we can imagine that people who are very rich, very powerful, political leaders, very wealthy business persons would think like this. I can give you something so great that you'll never have to ask anybody for anything else ever. But that's the kind of goal we should aspire for. We tend to aspire for petty goals, isn't it? Something very insignificant that gives us a little happiness for a short amount of time, and where we still have so many desires. So he's saying this is the kind of goal we should have. So Krishna describes this goal. Another one of my favorite sections is in the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, text 20 to 23, when he talks about that if you relish and rejoice in your own self, he says that if you're established thus, One never departs from the truth, and upon gaining this, he thinks there is no greater gain. Such a beautiful statement. If you understand yourself and you relish and rejoice in the self, you'll always be in truth, and you'll think there's nothing more I could possibly achieve. I mean, sometimes we may think that for a moment in material life. Hey, you got enough money in the bank, you got a big, beautiful house, you got a nice car, you've got a loving relationship with your family members, you're in the job that you want, you're in good health, you just had a good meal with your friends, and you think, this is it. But that doesn't last, right? Very quickly after that, you go, was that it? Was that it? A famous musician, Eric Clapton, he became very famous in his 20s, wealth and fame and popularity and so many things. And he said, I think it was like 23, 24, he said, I had everything, and then I realized that it wasn't anything. That you get, is that it? I got the pinnacle, and was that it? But Krishna's talking about permanent. He says, boundless transcendental happiness enjoyed through transcendental senses. It doesn't have a limit. And then you think, there's nothing else I could want but this. And what is that this, as Krishna's saying, to relish and rejoice in the self? And we have such an interesting statement by Prithu Maharaj, who did have everything material. And when he was asked what he wanted, what did he ask for? But very specific in devotional service, very specific thing he wanted. He wanted millions of ears. Now, not literally. He didn't literally want to have millions of ears. But in other words, he wanted to unlimitedly hear about how wonderful Krishna is. So I'm going through again Nectar Devotion, and I'm in the section of actually just finished this morning, this section where Srila Rupa Goswami is describing Krishna's qualities, Krishna's personality, in terms of Krishna being the impetus for our devotion. And you could just go on, I'm like, okay, I want to read that again. And I want to read that again, and I want to read that again. How wonderful Krishna is. So you just want millions of ears to hear more and more about Krishna. Or, we've been in kirtans hearing the holy name where you're just like, I just want to keep hearing that over and over. Remember in our Detroit Gurukul, there were these twins who came, and their family were not devotees. They were Hindus, but they were not devotees. And I think they were 8 years old. And after coming to a kirtan, first or second time, the little girl came up to me and she said, I just never wanted that to end. I just wish it could have gone on and on and on and on and on. And so if we look at what those who are actually enlightened, the opposite of this ridiculous mudha, if we look at those who are actually intelligent, what do they ask for? They say, I always want to be in the presence of the Lord. I always want to be conscious of the Lord. I always want to serve the Lord. That's all they want. I just want to always be aware of the presence of the Lord and to be aware of his presence in terms of serving, and I don't want anything else. Now, this becomes very specific as we advance in bhakti, as Prabhupada writes in chapter 9 of the Nectar Devotion. He says, Lalasamai, desiring some perfectional stage. This desiring some perfectional stage in spiritual life is not sense gratification. When one realizes something of his constitutional relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he understands his original position and wants to be reinstated in this position, either as a friend, servant, parent, or conjugal lover of Krishna. This is called Lalasamai, or very eagerly desiring to go to one's natural position. And one lecture Srila Prabhupada was talking about that wanting what's natural could be called not a desire at all. We talk about being desirelessness, having no desires. And Prabhupada gives the example, if you say, I want to eat, nobody's going to criticize you. Why do you want to eat? What's wrong with you? That's a natural desire to want to eat. So to want to be, and it's significant here that Prabhupada will consistently use words like our original position, being reinstated in something that already exists. To want to be who I am in relationship to Krishna, that is not really a desire at all. But that should be the goal. Now let's look at this contrast with what Shalva desires. He wants to destroy his enemy, and it's his imagined enemy, isn't it? Like, what had Krishna ever done to him? He imagined that Krishna had offended him and insulted him, and therefore he wanted to kill his enemy. So I think we can ask ourselves, what do I really desire? I mean, what do I really desire? This morning I was hearing Prabhupada talk about him. He was talking about himself, and he was saying how that sometimes if you really want to serve Krishna, but you also want to enjoy the world, Krishna will forcibly put you in a position of helplessness. He said, like, I did not want to take sannyas. I did not want to give up my family. But Krishna put me in situations one after another and forced me to fully surrender to him. And that was his mercy. He said that I've come now to this position. He said, if Krishna sees, oh, you want bhakti, but you also want some foolish things. So what is it we really desire? You know, we can say, I really want Krishna, but we, of course, the evidence for what we really desire is, well, when I was studying education at UNC Chapel Hill, one of my professors said, you can always tell what a school's priority is by looking at their budget. You know, whatever people say, this is what I want. Where do they spend their money? Where do I spend my time? Where do I spend my energy? That, you can tell, is our real desire. So what do we really desire? And do we ever desire, like this idiot, ridiculous things like, oh, that person offended me. I hope that they suffer. All right, so to get our desire, normally we have to do some austerity. We usually have to do something. You know, even very popular now, the concept of manifesting things. But no one who talks about manifesting things says you just simply sit in your chair and just say, I want this, and it appears. It's not like that. There's something you have to do. So Shalva thought, there's something I have to do to be able to qualify myself. So I wanted to look at the types of austerities which Krishna explains according to the modes. So in Tamagun, Krishna says that's penance performed out of foolishness. Well, there we have our mudha here. With self-torture, eating dirt or ashes sounds pretty self-torture to me. Yeah? Or to destroy or injure others, okay, we've got Shalva's ticking all the boxes, is said to be in the mode of ignorance. Now, I really like a little earlier in this same chapter, in text 5 to 6, this is actually important. I wish I didn't have to say this, but it has to be said. It's even important for us in the Hare Krishna movement. Those who undergo severe austerities and penances not recommended in the scriptures, performing them out of pride and egoism, who are impelled by lust and attachment, who are foolish and who torture the material elements of the body, as well as the super soul dwelling within, are to be known as demons. We should not take up austerities that damage our body. Again, this has to be said. You know, I've seen devotees who try to exist on like 2 hours of sleep and insufficient food, and then they become malnourished, and they end up with all kinds of problems, right? Or they're driving without sleep, and they get in a car accident. You can make them crazy. So if we're doing some austerity that's torturing ourselves, but if that's demoniac, then we're just as ridiculous as Shalva eating dirt. And that, not only does it not please Krishna, but Prabhupada says it tortures the material elements of the body as well as the super soul. I mean, Krishna is always in bliss, but it's something that causes him distress in a sense. Why are you doing this? Our body is part of Krishna, our mind is part of Krishna, and we have, again, I'm sorry that this has to be said, but it has to be said. I mean, we've had people in our Hare Krishna movement, right, who you were telling me the other day, who said, if you enjoy your service, that's sense gratification. If you enjoy your service, that's Maya. Whereas Prabhupada told Jadharani, he said, if you're not joyful, you're not making any advancement. You know, if in the name of austerity, we're forcing ourselves to do something that's torturing ourselves, That's austerity in the mode of ignorance. Again, sorry, but it's got to be said. Okay, in Rajagun, which is text 18, penance performed out of pride and for the sake of gaining respect, honor, and worship is said to be in the mode of passion. It's neither stable nor permanent. Sometimes we actually encourage this. You know, oh, look at all the great austerities this person has done. They're so great for their austerities. You know, I had this happen to me twice in the last few months when I was traveling, that people introduced me as Urmila who travels with just a little suitcase. And I'm like, that doesn't qualify me for bhakti, you know. So this sort of thing, everybody should notice my austerities. And I've had devotees sometimes list their austerities in pride. Well, I've done this austerity and this austerity and this austerity and this austerity. And I'm thinking, well, you didn't do as much austerity as Hiranyakashipu, and that wasn't, you know. It's like, all right, what about in Sattva-gun? In 14 to 17, Krishna goes into much more detail for a Sattva-gun austerity. So he divides it up by body, speech, and mind. So austerities of the body. Anybody know the austerities of the body in Sattva-gun? Worshipping the Supreme Lord. Any others? That's not Sattva-gun, that's bhakti. Well, we have worship the Supreme Lord, so okay, we could put that. So worship of the Supreme Lord, which would include chanting the holy name, but it doesn't say that specifically. Worshipping who else? The brahmanas, the guru, father and mother, right? We have in the Ten Commandments, it says, honor your father and mother. Cleanliness, simplicity, celibacy, and nonviolence. Then speech. There's 5 austerities of speech. Anybody know the austerities of speech? Truthful, pleasing, beneficial, two more. Not agitating to others and based on the Vedas. So that what we say should be true. It should be the content should be pleasing. Not agitating to others means the word should not be agitating, not like cursing. Right? It should benefit others and based on the Vedas. Of those 5, what's the most important? There's hardly any left. Beneficial. It has to be beneficial. So if the truth is going to hurt somebody, right, like we have the offense, don't preach the glories of the Lord to the faithless, because it will actually damage them. So in such situations, you don't lie, but you're silent. So it has to be beneficial. And we can sometimes give bad news, something that's not pleasing, if it will benefit. And sometimes you can even use very strong language if you're going to benefit someone. Okay? And it's not that every single thing we say has to have a Shastra quote. You know, you can say, hey, you need to put gas in the car. That's not coming from the Shastras. But it always has to be beneficial to ourselves and to others. If something isn't going to benefit ourselves and others, we don't say it. All right, of the mind. This is the hardest one for me. Of the mind. Anyone know the austerities of the mind? We should list that as an austerity. Have your phone on silent in the temple. Of course, sometimes my phone has rung when I'm giving a class. That's really embarrassing. So satisfaction, simplicity, gravity, self-control, and purification of one's existence are the austerities of the mind. I always find satisfaction to be the most difficult. And Krishna says this threefold austerity performed with transcendental faith by men not expecting material benefits, but engage only for the sake of the Supreme is called austerity in goodness. So I'm doing this just to please Krishna. That actually puts it into bhakti. Because if you're just in Sattva-gun, you're going to do these austerities because it makes you feel peaceful and balanced and in harmony. So that's Sattva-gun. But if you're saying, Krishna will be pleased if I honor my father and mother, Krishna will be pleased if I'm clean, Krishna will be pleased if my speech is beneficial, so that is transcendent. Now, if we really look at bhakti, though, this is a very important question. Do we have to pay for bhakti? Is bhakti a fruitive activity that we have to pay for? Well, not really, because it's who we are. Why would you have to pay anything to be who you are and what you are? So Prabhupada giving a lecture on one of my favorite Gita verses, 7.1, this is in 1968. He says the whole business is how to develop attachment for Krishna. If you have developed that attachment within a second, oh, then business is finished within a second. And if you cannot develop that attachment for years, then it is very difficult. The only test is how you've developed your attachment for Krishna. If you are serious about it, it can be done within a second. So we really don't have to do austerities to attain bhakti in one sense. In fact, Srila Rupa Goswami is very clear that austerities is not an anga of bhakti. And that if we're not careful, austerities can do what? Damage us. They can make our heart harder, and bhakti is all about making your heart soft. All right, but we have a problem. We have a problem is that we're attached to things other than Krishna. And because we're attached to things other than Krishna, giving up those attachments feels to us like an austerity. And we have to be willing to do that. And the example that I give all the time is if someone's addicted to something. You're addicted to alcohol, you're addicted to drugs. You have to go to some kind of program where it feels to you like austerity. Am I correct? If you're not addicted, like I've never smoked cigarettes in my life. And so there's no austerity for me not to smoke. There's no struggle. But a person who becomes addicted, they're going through a struggle. So it's not that bhakti requires a struggle. But if we become addicted to our false ego, if we become addicted to sense gratification, then yes, there is some austerity involved. But bhakti itself doesn't require austerity. Is this clear to everybody? We create the need for austerity because of our material attachments. So therefore, Prabhupada has us all vow no intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling, no eating meat, fish, or eggs. Right? Because those things are going to keep us from being attached to Krishna. They're going to anchor us to this world. And then other austerities rising early. Eating only prasadam. Eating only prasadam is an austerity for people out working in the world. You can't just eat any garbage food, especially if you're going to eat only prasadam cooked by devotees. You have to go through some trouble unless you have your own hired cook. Following fast days such as ISKCON, Janmashtami. Those are our austerities. And you know, Srila Prabhupada didn't really push much austerities beyond that. I mean, Maharaj talked about this the other day, how people take on all these other austerities, which is okay if it helps you in your bhakti and it helps you get attached to Krishna, but Prabhupada wasn't really into having all these austerities. 4 regulative principles, getting up early, being clean, following Ekadasi, eating only prasadam. And we do really have to be careful that we don't slip into austerities in Rajagun or Tamagun or harden our heart. Ultimately, our austerities are not even this sort of external thing, but ultimately our austerities are letting go of our false ego, which is really difficult, my dear friends. If anyone had told me when I joined the Hare Krishna movement how difficult it would be to let go of my false ego, I probably would have turned around and walked back out the door. You know, or what it would be involved in that you have to see the dirt in your heart and face it and deal with it. Again, like an addiction, you know, what do they do in Alcoholics Anonymous? What I've heard they do is they have to get up and say, I'm an alcoholic and I have a problem. And what I've read about addiction is that how difficult it is for someone who's an alcoholic to do that. It may take years and years and years before they can get up. And so to get up and say, I'm a false ego addict. Ahankara ashritam, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. I'm addicted to my false ego. Ishwar aham, aham bhogi, siddhaham. I'm thinking like that. I'm thinking I'm the enjoyer. I'm thinking I'm the controller. I'm thinking that this world is meant for my enjoyment. And in that regard, I identify with this body and this mind. And because of that, I offend others because I'm thinking that the world is for my enjoyment, and I'm offended by others, as Shalva is here. I'm offended by anyone or anything that interferes with my being the controller and the enjoyer, and I want to exploit others. And this is all, my dear friends, evil. And to be able to see that, to see, I'm a pure soul, I'm a part of Krishna, I'm full of all good qualities, and I am intentionally embracing evil. Intentionally. And it wasn't some mistake I did in the distant past that I can't remember. It's a mistake I'm doing all the time. Prabhupada says Krishna is giving us 24 hours, imperceptibly, a chance to attend to him. So ultimately, the real austerity is to do my service for Krishna with attention and love. That's my real austerity. I mean, yes, I should follow the 4 regulative principles and chant 16 rounds and wake up early and be clean and follow Ekadasi and take prasadam. But you can do that mechanically and not actually work on the real stuff. Is that correct? Yeah? So the real austerity is, am I really being attentive? Am I chanting my japa with attention and love? Maya Shakta Manaparta. Am I seeing the deities with attention and love? Am I reading the scriptures with attention and love? Am I cultivating the desire, as Krishna say, is the purpose of sadhana bhakti, ichcha, to develop this desire, to switch my desires from I'm the center to Krishna's the center, to I want to be served to I want to be a servant. Am I really paying attention to Krishna? What does Prahlad Maharaj tell his friends? You should serve the Lord with the same care and attention that you take care of yourself. I make sure I take care of myself. I make sure I'm clean. Do I clean Krishna? I take a bath every day. Do I give my deities a bath every day? Do I take care of Krishna? Do I take care of the holy name? What? Srimati Radharani has this verse about like worshiping the name of the Lord with jewels. Am I actually worshiping the name? Am I worshiping the deity? Am I worshiping prasadam? Mahaprabhu takes prasadam and he says, oh, Krishna's touched this with his lips and transformed these material elements into his spiritual potency. Do I make an effort to be aware when I drink water? Prabhupada said so many times, Rasoham Apsukanseya, if you want to find Krishna, find him in the taste of water. But do I do that? Do I pay attention? What is the taste of water? And with affection, oh, Krishna's this taste of water. That's my real austerity, to switch my attention, because whatever we pay attention to with desire is what we're going to get. Everybody knows this, right? Fundamental principle of Krishna consciousness. Actually, I'm planning to, Krishna willing, I'll be speaking on these verses from the 4th canto when I'm in Gainesville next weekend about Narada Muni instructing King Prachini about the whole process of transmigration and attention in the subtle body. Whatever we focus on is what we get. That's it. I mean, when these manifestation people, they actually have this part right. What I focus on with attention and follow up with action is what I get. That's my real austerity. And on all the things we do that may seem like austerity are meant for that purpose. And what does Srila Prabhupada say? He's translating Srila Rupa Goswami. What's the price? Again, from Nectar Devotion, chapter 9. In other words, one should learn how to do what? For the Lord? Cry. Gaur Govindamar says we've opened a crying school. Prabhupada says one should learn this small technique. First purpose of ISKCON, the techniques of spiritual life. And one should be very eager and actually cry to become engaged in some particular type of service. This is called loyam. And such tears are the price for the highest perfection. If one develops this loyam or excessive eagerness for meeting and serving the Lord in a particular way, that is the price to enter into the kingdom of God. Otherwise, there is no material calculation for the value of the ticket by which one can enter the kingdom of God. The only price for such entrance is this loyam lalasamai, or desire and great eagerness. So all of the aspects of bhakti we do, all of our austerities are meant for this, according to Krishna in 12.9. That's the purpose, to develop this desire. All right, but is having the right goal and the right austerities, is that it? You also have to get grace. You have to get grace, you have to get mercy, and I always give this example. If someone's offended us or insulted us in some way, everyone's been insulted or bothered by someone in their life, I assume? If you've lived to be 2 years old, I'm sure somebody has done something to you that you didn't like. Even if that person apologizes, it's up to you as the offended party to decide whether and how and when to restore the relationship. Isn't that a fact? Right? If I steal something from you and I just come and say, I'm sorry, my saying I'm sorry, even buying you a new one, I can't force reestablishing the relationship. It has to come from the end of the person who was offended. And again, this is something, I don't like to say it, but it has to be said. We're offending Krishna every time that we try to use his energy, including our body and mind, for our own purposes. It would be like if my hand started hitting me instead of serving me. And so Krishna has to decide from his end to accept us. We can't force it. We can't go to him and say, okay, I followed the regular principles, woken up early, chanted my rounds, eaten only prasadam, give me prema. It doesn't work like that. There has, and that's actually insulting, isn't it? You know, well, I know I stayed in your house and stole your stuff, but I bought you a new one, like, let me visit you again, all right? What's your problem? You'd be, excuse me. And Krishna also, you know, he's very moved by the mercy of the devotees, and we say, Yasya Prasada Bhagavat Prasadam. Because, again, I mean, at least speaking for myself, I'm always going to fall short. I just am. If I think I'm not going to fall short, I don't know, I'm a kind of crazy person. And therefore, I need the devotees to say, my dear Krishna, this jiva is falling short, but please accept this person anyway. Give them some place. Therefore, before going to the spiritual world, one goes to where Krishna is having his pastimes in the material world. So one gets the association of the Nityasiddha devotees and gets trained. Right? So it's not a matter of austerities. It's a matter of austerities, again, they're not an anga of bhakti. Krishna is attracted by our love, and devotees' hearts are moved by our sincerity. Although we have to do things that will appear as austerity to us. So, in conclusion, let's not be a fool. Let's not have Srila Jiva Goswami write a commentary about us that we are ridiculous. Let him not be doing the iti upahasa about us. We don't want to enter Krishna's pastimes as an idiot. You know, don't be a fool. We don't want the great devotees going, oh, Urmila's ridiculous. We should have the right desire. I want to serve Krishna according to my original position. I want to see the Lord, be with the Lord, and serve him in my position. I should do the right austerities, to be attentive in bhakti, and to cultivate the desire to serve Krishna, and be begging always for mercy. And that, if we do that, then there's no question that Krishna will accept us. So, questions, comments, additions, subtractions. Maharaj, anything? We have like a minute or two. Yes? What stage is appropriate for loyam? Well, even in the very beginning, you should say, I want Krishna. I mean, I think from day one, you should say, I want Krishna. As far as wanting Krishna in a specific way, Prabhupada says one has to know something of one's relationship with Krishna. So that has to awaken to some extent before you can say, I want to serve Krishna in this way. That has to awaken, and Prabhupada says that happens usually at the end of an arta nivritti. But it's kind of like saying when puberty happens, it happens when it happens. You can't force it. Anything good in this class is by the grace of Srila Prabhupada. Anything wrong is my responsibility. Please take the good and leave aside the bad.
Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Enam Kanvandam Maravindadalaya Taksham Varhavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandar Agom Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakalen Priya Priti Manti Vasyanti Panti Kayanti Chiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurani Mitya Jai Namaste Shashunya Pari Asyaja Satarane Jaya Shri Krishna Jai Chaitanya Brahmanachananda Jitweta Granada Sivasade Gormatu Prana Jai Shri Krishna Nana Brahmanachananda Chitweta Granada Sivasade Gormatu Prana Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ramanachananda Tirudvaita Radha Sivasade Normatubanda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha, Radha Radha, Jaya Radha, Jai Om Vishnupad.
ISKCON founder Acharya Ananta Koti Vaishnava Namacharya Vidas Say Go Sri Krishna Purava Nityananda Shri Radha Shri Gaur Bhakta Radha Krishna Goloka Sai Mukunda Radha Giri Gaur Radha
Please join us in Harinam Sankirtan. We'll be at River Street Market at 11:30 today, between 11:30 and 1. And it's going to be a good day because it's not going to be too hot. So please come, 11:30 at Weaver Street Market. Chaitodarbana Marjanam Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapinam Shreya Kairavya Chandrika Vitarnam Vidyavadu Jivanam Andam Booty. I really like the outfit. Thank you for dressing so nice. So many flowers too. Ratmasnapanam Paramijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrapita Niyamita Smarane Nakala Etadrishita Makribam Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaiva Midrishami Hajjani Nanuraga Tranada Pisu Nichena Tarora Pisu Hishuna Amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari nadanam najanam nasundarim kavitam vajagadishakamaye mama janmani janmani ishvare bhavatad bhaktya hoitaki tvayi ainanda tanuja kinkaram patitamam vishamevavam buddha Kripaya devabadaba kanchanja stita duli sadrushim vachintaya nayanam galadishu daraya varanam gadgadarudaya gira pulaka nishitam vapukada tavanama grahaneva vishyati yugayatam namishena chakshusha pravashayatam Shunayatam Jagat Sarvam Govindam Virahiname Ashlishava Padamadamanastumam Adarshanam Marmahata Karotiva Yatatava Vidadatulam Pato Mat Pranatastusa Evanapara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. Oh, my Lord, the conditional chanting of your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you've invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Oh, my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than a straw on the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service birth after birth. O Son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. Oh, my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? Oh, Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like